Cook, Vice Chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I'd like to welcome you all to the committee meetings this morning, January 4th, 2023. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Safety briefing. I'd like to invite our current Vice President of Safety and Security, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency. Good morning.
Good morning. Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety, Security, and Business Continuity. We are on the first floor here at M.U.D headquarters in the boardroom, and normal entry and exit through this space is at the rear of the room. There is an alternate exit over here on this side of the room. And it'll be notable that the nearest first aid kit, fire extinguisher, and AED are also through this door out in that hallway. With the location of the AED in mind, can I have a show of hands of who's CPR and AED trained in the room? Thank you. Should there be a medical emergency in this room today, 911 will be contacted by the security staff, who will then escort medical personnel into the space. Should we need to leave this room for any reason, we'll go through the same door, take two lefts, and reconvene in the parking garage where we'll conduct an accountability. That concludes the safety briefing.
I believe our President, Mark Doyle, would like to say a few words.
Shane and Mark. So good morning, and you did say 2023, right? Yeah. So it's a new year. You never know what's gonna come or go. Anyway, Mark Doyle, President. Microphone. I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate Shane on his next chapter. You've had a lot of chapters, right?
Indeed.
And I'm not going to go through Shane's background. I don't think I need to do that, but Shane came to M.U.D with just the kind of experience, knowledge, initiative, engagement. I could think of all kinds of things. It's exactly what we needed at exactly the right time. How long have you been here, Shane?
I've been here.
Yeah, at M.U.D.
It's been 5 years and 8 months.
It really has been 5 years and 8 months. Wow. Congratulations on your new role. It's the State Fire Marshal, appointed by the new governor-elect, Jim Pillen. Yes. Shows me he has good judgment right out of the gate. And I'm seriously, I mean, I really mean that. Wow, I can't. I appreciate that. I really mean it. I gave an update back during the State of the District on safety and security, and it was all of Shane's work under the direction of Steve. Where's Steve? Steve also has good judgment because of Shane being here at M.U.D. I'm not going to go through all that, but I would say our command structure, our attention to detail on safety and security, all the things that have occurred from how we enter structures that are dangerous, how we don't enter them, all of the 2-minute drills. I could go on and on and on, and it was really a culture change in safety that's occurred here at M.U.D. I only hope we can keep it up. I know we will. They're going to be big shoes to fill, and I would leave it with that and just congratulate you on your new role, and really thank you for stopping by M.U.D. for 5 years and 6 months. I can't believe it. Thank you, sir. Really, can't thank you enough. Thanks, Shane. End call here?
End call here. Thank you.
Before we begin the meeting, I would like to welcome our newest board member, Bob Sidzik, today for his first official meeting. And before we move on to agenda items, we're going to take a moment for him to recite his oath of office. Bob, would you mind stepping up to the podium, please? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Bob Sidzik,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that take this obligation freely, that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purpose of evasion,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of Director, Metropolitan Utilities District of Omaha Board of Directors according to law and to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of Director, Metropolitan Utilities District of Omaha Board of Directors according to law and to best of my ability.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence.
And that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence. So help me God.
And that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence. So help me God.
Great. Welcome to the Board of Directors, Director Sidgic. Please take your rightful place at the table here. Roll call. Yeah, that's what it says. You have to say it. Okay. We'll do a roll call.
Kavanaugh,
Here.
Bagley,
Here.
Cook,
Here.
Friend, Sidzik,
Here.
McGowan,
Here.
Howard.
Here. I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. Community Giving Drive recap. Employees and retirees participated in the district's annual Community Giving Drive in November. The fundraising drive provides donors the option of designating their donations for the district's utility assistance program, the Home Fund, and/or the United Way of the Midlands or other local nonprofit agencies. Various events, including visits from the Pancake Man, were held to celebrate district employees and thank them for their generosity. All told, our employees and retirees donated more than $85,500, which will be directed right back to our community. On behalf of the board and our customer owners, I would like to extend our appreciation to everyone who supported this very, very worthy effort. Thank you. Okay, construction and operations. Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Gina Langle will review the capital expenditures. Good morning.
Good morning. Gina Langle, Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer. Behind tab 6 is our capital expenditures letter. 7 of these items are annual authorizations like we approved last January the January board meetings before that, and those are the ones I'm going to cover today. There's a lot of effort that is put in to get these estimates, including people from engineering, construction, accounting, and transportation, so I would like to acknowledge their hard work at this time. The first item is on page 1. It is item number 1 for $600,000. It's a cross-bore inspection and repairs at various locations along the district's gas distribution system. A cross-bore occurs when a gas or a water pipe is installed using a trenchless installation method, and the pipe inadvertently penetrates a sanitary sewer lateral. We want to catch these when it actually happens, so we hire plumbers that come out and they use a camera to go and look and see if we can find these and repair them if they do happen. So this CNA is for cross-bore inspection and repairs at various locations around the district's gas distribution system. We're asking for $400,000 less than was budgeted in 2022. And the drop is based on the recent historic averages and the downward trend that's following our post-legacy work that we had done previously. The program started in 2011. Total cross-bore inspections to date have been approximately 80,000. So we've done 80,000 of those. Cross-bore inspections done in 2022 were around the 3,500 mark. Total cross-boards that have found since the inception of the program is 734, and cross-boards found last year were around 55. And that is in line with averages that are seen nationally across the utility industry. We have one contractor that's doing this work right now. It's Backlund. And legacy work was completed in 2018, so we went back and found all the ones that had been there previously in 2018. And so this is mostly for new work. Every once in a while, a legacy one will come up, but most of the time, this will be for new work. The second item is item number 2. It's also on page 1. It's for $13,335,000. It's the 2023 annual authorization for gas service installations. This is for all residential and commercial gas services in 2023. It includes new installations, replacements, and connections. This is an increase from about $170,000 from last year's authorization for this. It does have an increasing cost, even though that the servicers are less, but we anticipate that because of the increase of the cost in labor and materials. We are anticipating a decrease in the number of service installations by 9.3% for this. Work will be done by both M.U.D crews. About 53% of the work will be M.U.D crews, and the rest will be done by Q3, our contractor for that, which is about 47%. The next item is item number 3, also on page 1. It's for $2,095,000, 2023 annual authorization for gas meters and regulators. This is for new customers impacted by our infrastructure replacement program and for replacement meters all. We are asking for increase of $260,000 from 2022. The amounts are based also on past trends and costs. It also recognizes in 2023 the forecasting of building activity and inflation. The next item is item number 4. That's on page 2 for $6,820,447. It's the 2023 annual authorization for reconnection and replacement of water services. We are asking for a decrease of about $1.7 million from 2022. This is mostly because of the way we're doing accounting for pipe bursting projects. We will not have, we've moved some of the work from the service work over to the IR for gas. So when I talk about this in a few minutes, you'll see that that part is actually increased to take over that. When we do pipe bursting, we already open up the holes to be able to do the work there to replace the mains, and so therefore we talked with accounting and they were in agreement that we needed to move this money over to the other one. Services and costs for this, we're going to replace 172 lead services. That'll be about $1.3 million. We'll replace approximately 38 non-lead services for $286,000. We're reconnecting 527 water services, and these will be water services that are done by M.U.D crews for about $2.5 million. And then we'll also reconnect water services done by contractors for about $3 million. The next item is item number 5 for $18,504,550. This is a 2023 annual authorization for construction machines, equipments, vehicles, and upfitting. This is on page number 2. This will have upfitting for approximately 160 vehicles in 2022. This CNA is for about $1.6 million more than last year. The board will approve proposed bid recommendations per purchasing procedures on individual replacements and additions. This has been very difficult, and I talked a lot to our Vice President of Field Services and also has transportation. It's very difficult to get vehicles right now, and even when we do the pricing, fluctuations have changed considerably. So something to keep in mind for this is even though we are anticipating about 50 construction machines and equipment and 160 vehicles in 2022, we will be working with the budget and with accounting to make sure that we are utilizing the funds properly as we go into next year. The next item is under infrastructure replacement. It's the annual authorizations. It's item number 1 on page 2 for $12,852,000 2023 annual authorization for gas infrastructure replacement. This is replacing gas mains as part of the district's gas infrastructure replacement program in 2023, as we've done in the past. It's an increase of almost 1.3 million from last year. This is to abandon approximately 40 miles of cast iron mains. M.U.D crews will do approximately 15 miles of those mains, and Q3 will do approximately 25 miles of that. You may be asking yourself, why is it so much more expensive than last year? We are now getting down to that part of our gas infrastructure replacement where we're looking at much larger diameter mains, and those diameter mains are going to be a lot more expensive to replace. So there are 12 and 16-inch mains included in this. So because we are going to be looking at some of those larger ones, you're going to see that the price is going to be higher than it has been previously. And the last item is item number 2. Also on page 2 for $24,195,000. This is the 2023 annual authorization for water infrastructure replacement. This is similar to what we've done in the past, the CNA for the water infrastructure program in 2023. It's an increase of about $1 million from last year. However, the increased costs are offset by the water IR service work that I mentioned just a little bit before. We brought over that service work, and it's included in this part of the authorization. This is to replace approximately 16 miles of water infrastructure work. 7 miles will be done by M.U.D crews, and 9 miles will be completed by contractors. Engineering, as you know, uses a risk model to choose those replacement means, and we have been looking at which means need to be chosen. We look out quite a bit to be able to see what's in the future on that, and we've identified the ones for next year. The majority of this work is to replace cast iron mains. Other materials also include asbestos cement, steel, and unwrapped ductile iron. Repair work will also be used from condition assessment. The condition assessment itself is not included in this, but the work to repair the condition assessment as we look and we find those areas that need to be improved, that is included in the CNA. And that is what I have for you today. Do you have any questions?
Gina, after the risk assessment, is this put on a map for anyone to refer to see just exactly where the riskiest water mains exist and the ones we're going to get to first?
I'm not 100% sure, Masa, you might want to help me out with this if it's actually on a map, but we look at all of the projects that we have, and we base it on the likelihood of failure and the consequence of failure. And once we have a risk number for those, we do have a list of that. I don't know, is it actually on a map as well?
It is on a map. We've got that risk model, and we identify those project areas, both for risk assessment and replacement. Right now, we have about 5 years worth of projects identified in queue to be designed in the future.
Is it possible to get a map that we could all understand sent to each one of us, or is that something that can be public record or not?
I don't see a reason it couldn't be public record, do you?
Just so everybody
Mr. Manhall?
understands what we're up against and
No.
where we're up against it.
We certainly can get the map, and send it to all of you, and I don't see a reason it can't be public information. Would you mind if we just chat about that and make sure that
No, I
there's
don't
in there?
want to cause, I don't
Okay.
want to create an issue that can't be solved, but yeah, discuss it and then share it if you can, because we'd like to see exactly where in the district our riskiest water mains exist.
And we feel very confident with the risk assessment that we do in this. There was a lot of time and effort. We used a consultant to help us get, the information that we started putting there. And we have more, how many years of break history do we have? Is it 60?
Back to the late 1960s.
No, that'd be far enough.
Yeah, so we feel very confident with the way that the model predicts, what we have coming up in the future. And so, yeah, let me go ahead and we'll see what we can get for you for that.
And just to be clear, it's not the history, it's going forward.
Correct.
What we're interested in.
Yes, yes.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to make a few comments on that, Director Kavanaugh, Mark Doyle, President. I think the timing of your question is perfect. Actually, we've had a little bit of a public discussion about this topic, and as I'm not sure if Gina or Amasa was specific, but we've identified quite a few years out already. I don't know how many years out.
About 5. We've
Okay, you
got
said 5.
Over 80
Okay,
miles identified.
and I think it would be beneficial for the board and the public to know what those 5 years are. They haven't changed, and they're there for good reason. 60 years of history gives us a pretty good feel for, and it's good history. It's where all the breaks have been, how many have recurred, what neighborhoods they're in. And as we've had that public debate, and when Mark Mendenhall was at the last council meeting that he was at, there was a lot of misinformation that was thrown at him that we just didn't address at that time. But the only risk probably with putting out those 5 years is if we decide to change that priority for some reason, but that would be with our eyes wide open. But we'd like to show you and prove that the next 5 years didn't include what we were told that it should include. And so I think the discussion is perfect. But again, we could have some internal discussion about how we present that when we present it. But the thing that I really want to stress is this is scientific and we're not making it up.
It is not.
And we don't just go anywhere.
It is not something we make up.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and the consequence and the likelihood of failure have several different things that we look at in each of those. Yeah. And what happens out in the environment changes some of that, right? And so it is really understanding it's a snapshot of right now, and things could change from it. But it is a very scientific model, and it takes also what happens with our customers and the consequence from our customers from a social standpoint in it as well. So it is a well thought through model and a good program.
And it's understood, it's just right now, because things can change, we know that, but we're interested really right now, what are we facing?
Absolutely.
It is an excellent roadmap to tell us, how far we're looking out. And to Mark's point, our team will continue to evaluate that each year as breaks continue, and even as we get into design, we'll look at it to see, okay, are we starting the highest risk projects first based on what information has come in more recently? So it's a good 5-year outlook, but we'll continue to manage that project by project.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Director of Plant Engineering, Stephanie Henn, will review the acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates. Good morning.
Good morning. Stephanie Henn, Director of Plant Engineering. I actually have the next 2 agenda items, and so we will start with the finals letter behind tab number 7. Have a longer letter this month. We have 7 finals on there as we're trying to final out projects at the end of 2022. There's 5 water development projects and 2 water infrastructure projects on there. 5 of these projects have change orders associated with them. The developer already either knows about these costs or the amounts were small enough that the district has already received that money from the developer through the main extension agreement. The additional costs range any place from 1.6% to 6.7% increase on any of the given projects. And the majority of these additional costs are due to issues with the supply chain, like we've been talking about over the last few months, requiring some additional boring due to some field project conditions, locating additional utilities that were not designed or installed prior to the project being bid, and some flagging of traffic for additional safety measures. Approving these finals also approves the corresponding change orders. Any specific or general questions on that? Wonderful. We will move on to tab number 8 on the agenda. This is an amendment to a consultant agreement with HDR Engineering. An amendment is very similar to a change order. However, an amendment is an addition to a consultant agreement, typically with an engineering or an architectural firm, where a change order is typically an addition to a contract with a contractor that's performing work for us. Typically, an engineering or architectural firm is going to be doing design type work. The project in this case is the Platte West Lime Grit Removal System Upgrade. The amendment amount is $41,800, and as with change orders, any amendment or change order that's over $25,000 has to come to you folks for further approval per our current policy. During the water treatment process, lime is mixed with water to make a slurry and then is added to the water to provide softening. The equipment that does this at the Platte West plant is being upgraded as a part of this project. When HDR was hired to do this project, we thought a lot of the piping that was already there could be reused. As the design progressed and we selected equipment, we figured out that that wasn't the case. We needed to redo some of the piping also. And so this amendment handles the design for that changed piping. In the future, this will also give the Platte West plant some more options for redundancy. They'll also have the option for more softening and some different treatment options in the future due to this new piping. Can I answer any questions on that?
Stephanie?
Yes.
The second to last paragraph, it says will increase the not to exceed contract amount. What do you mean not to exceed? Is that, now why is it in this contract? Is it, help me understand that.
Not to exceed, we typically use that language, that legal language, when we're dealing with consultant agreements, rather than with an engineering or architectural firm, rather than when we're dealing with a contractor and a contract. That not to exceed number is when we negotiate, like in this case, when we negotiated with HDR, here it's going to cost, and I can't remember the total number. I'd have to look at what the dollar amount was when we negotiated it. But they gave us that number, and we say that that's not to exceed. So if they need any additional money like for this, it all has to be, what's the word? It has to be renegotiated and brought to you folks for approval. So we're telling them, say it was $100,000 or whatever it happened to be, they cannot go over that without asking for additional money. Us approving it, them justifying it, it's another negotiation process at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services, John Zellers, will now review the bids on materials and contracts. Good morning.
Good morning. John Zellers, Vice President, Procurement and Enterprise Services. Bids on materials and contracts may be found under tab 9. There are 2 items that I'd like to discuss this morning, and the first may be found in the middle of page 2. We accepted bids for 4 24-inch gate valves, in which 3 bids were received. We are recommending the second low bid as it has a more favorable lead time of 8 to 9 weeks over the low bid with a lead time of 17 to 18 weeks. The total cost difference represents 0.6% or about $711. These valves are required for the Gemini Lot 2 water main project that Mr. Nia will speak to later. To assure the valves are received by the start of the project this spring, we recommend approval of the second low bid submitted by Core and Main. The last item may be found at the end of page 3. We are asking to extend the contract with Olson & Associates to perform engineering services related to soil and concrete testing and SWIP inspections. SWIP stands for Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, which is a plan that must be followed to keep sediment and pollutants such as debris, chemicals, and construction material from entering storm sewers and local water mains or local waterways during pipeline construction. The initial contract was in 2020, in which Olson continues to hold its pricing. That's all I plan on discussing this morning, but would be happy to answer any questions on any item. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Services and extensions. Vice President of Engineering, Masania, will review the proposed main extensions.
Good morning again. Masania, Vice President of Engineering. I'll be speaking to you about the main extensions letter behind tab 10. It's a short list this month with one, but what we're lacking in quantity, we're making up with scope here on this one. It is a 8-figure project cost on this main extension. So this is, Jay's brought up the location down in Sarpy County in Subdivision 7. This is to provide water service and fire protection to one industrial lot called Gemini Development. And we've got another map showing a zoomed-in version of it. You can see the interstate in the top left corner, Interstate I-80, 168th Street intersects with the interstate, and that's where the main is starting with that 36-inch line shown in red. The colors, with the way it printed out, doesn't show great. The proposed mains that I'll be speaking to are in red, labeled with the proposed 36-inch and the proposed 24-inch there. It does tie into an existing main that's shown in that magenta or pink color, which is our Zone 2. That's right near Cape Hart and 150th Street. And then in the bottom right, you'll see Lot 2 there for the Gemini development, where we have additional mains being extended to serve that lot. You may recall back in September 2021 at the board meeting, the board approved the design work by Olson, an engineering firm, to design this water main extension at a cost of $339,598. The design costs are included in this project cost, requesting approval of $10,477,317. The main extension costs are based on bids that we have received that's in the letter Mr. Zellers provided. The proposed work includes about 3.5 miles of transmission mains that were identified in our water system master plan. And just a quick recap on the master plan that Mr. Koenig, our Vice President of Water Operations, covered in the July 2022 board meeting. The master plan is our roadmap for the growth of our water system. It's looking out to the year 2050 to look at population growth in our service territory. That 2050 service territory is based off of MAPA information, MAPA standing for Metro Area Planning Agency. They're a local entity that looks at studies like this for population changes and whatnot. So this was included in the master plan as well as our 2023 and 2024 budget. For this water main extension, the design team worked closely with the firm to minimize the risk of future relocation work, especially in these corridors where the road improvements aren't quite made yet. We had to make sure that future, I apologize about that. In these corridors where the roads aren't built out yet, we made sure to look at future alignments. So we work closely with Sarpy County, as well as to further minimize risk of relocation to our customers. Most of these mains are installed in easement. So if that helps by getting the main further out from the center line of the road, so any future cuts or fills are reduced in capacity there, as well as if there is a need to relocate it, the entity doing the grading work or changes over our facilities would be responsible for those costs. I need to point out the main extension includes district costs of approximately $1.9 million, or about 18% of the overall project costs. This will provide additional oversizing of the mains above 24-inch size that's critical for the growth of this rapidly developing area of Sarpy County. These main extension costs are favorable as the bids came in about 3.5% below the engineer's estimate. And lastly, this is in M.U.D's gas service territory. However, they have not requested gas service. With each application, we do talk with the developer, their architects, engineers, to explain to them the benefits of natural gas service, the reliability and the cost effectiveness of it. It just may be a matter of this industrial lot not needing it for their operations. And with that,
Would they be interested in going to another source for gas, or they just don't want, they go on electricity, or what?
So I want to be real careful what I share because there is a non-disclosure agreement with this application. Just knowing that if they do request gas service, it would be with us. There's just not a need for gas service to this business or operations. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Personnel, Vice President of Human Resources, Bonnie Savine, will review employee wage and/or salary increases and ratifications.
Good morning. Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. We will do a recap of employee counts for the end of December 2021 and 2022. For the end of 2021, there were 813 regular full-time employees. We had 3 regular part-time employees for a total of 816. To end 2022, we had 867 regular full-time employees, continuing with 3 regular part-time employees for a total of 870. We also had 6 temporary part-time employees. That was 3 temporary part-timers who I believe are all retirees, filling a little bit of a transitional period at the end of their time with the district, and then 3 interns. I will note, and I would like to extend my gratitude to our employment team and the supervisors that worked with them. We hired over 100 new regular full-time employees in 2022 and 180 internal promotions and transfers, compared to about 78 new hires the year before, and less than 150 promotions and transfers. So
Great job, Bonnie. Would you
Thank you, Mike.
repeat 2022 numbers for me?
certainly, the end of 22, 867 regular full-time, 3 regular part-time. So 870 in comparison with 816.
And Bonnie, this is in addition to the student opportunities that you offer in the summer?
That is correct.
Good job.
All right, thank you. But thanks to them and for the support from our leadership team to help ensure that we were getting those employees on board. Okay, a quick review of jobs actively in various stages of the job placement process. We have 4 jobs with requisitions routing through the job review and approval process. We have 11 jobs that are posted now. 4 are internal only, 7 are external only, as you can see on the screen, and 3 are posted both internally and externally. So 11 total currently. 8 jobs are in the application review and interview stages, and 4 jobs have 10 selected candidates that are going through the pre-hiring process right now. All
Bonnie?
right. Yes, sir.
With all the employees that you hired this past year, great job. I mean, that's fantastic. It's a lot of people. What percent employment do you think we are with what people need? Are we at 90% now, or because we were struggling there for a while?
Sure. We just got the 2023 head count from the accounting department, so we are going to do a mash up to see where we currently are and see what approved positions we have, and then we'll be able to provide those numbers for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Behind tab 11, you'll find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. Human Resources is recommending the Board of Directors approve wage or salary increases for 19 employees this month. 13 OAC employees are recommended for wage increases due to a promotion, and 6 SPA employees are recommended for salary increases due to promotion as well. We do have one new hire ratification at the end of the letter for a December SPA hire. Are there any questions on that letter?
Just in general, Bonnie,
Yes.
now that we're hopefully through the COVID era, there's still some remnants of it, but I don't want to jinx anything. But have we seen the number of applications coming in for our positions get back up to a level closer to what they were prior to COVID?
I would say we are seeing an increase in some of those applications. I think that's for a variety of reasons. We have been working hard to expand the job posting methods that we use and using more online options that reach additional applicants, as well as some of our social media efforts with the help of our communications team. And so that has assisted. We also are seeing the opportunity for more in-person career fairs. We have an entire calendar already set up for 2023 that we're excited about, so we can get back into some of our universities, our high schools, and some of the community events that are available to get in front of candidates. So I think, yes, we have seen the candidate numbers increase in some of our areas. There are still a few pockets of jobs that we are going to continue to give additional emphasis to, where we don't see necessarily as many candidates.
That's great. And I also, I think you started in 2022, the internal job fair for district employees to find out what opportunities are available to them within M.U.D. So
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have tab 12. So if you would like to turn to tab 12, this is our recommendation for the promotional salary increase for the position of Vice President, Construction. The district is recommending the Board of Directors approve the promotional salary increase for Jeff Skovanek as a result of his selection for this position. As indicated in the letter behind tab 12, Mr. Skovanek has been with the district for over 26 years. He possesses a well-rounded engineering and construction background. He has the education, experience, and leadership that made him the best candidate for this position and contributed to the selection following interviews. And I would like to ask if there are any questions on this one. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Accounts, expenditures, finance, and rates. Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Joseph Shafford will review the gas department bond reimbursement resolution.
Good. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. Joe Shappert. I serve as the district's Chief Financial Officer. Happy New Year to all. As Director Cook indicated, I'll speak to the information behind tab 13. The board will recall that the district's 2023 budget, as per your approval on December 7th, included bond financing to yield proceeds of just shy of $66 million for the gas department. That's an assumed issuance date of October 31st for that bond. And the bond is intended to fund the construction of our new construction center, which will be located at Highway 133 and State Street on ground the district owns. We affectionately refer to that as CC number 2. It will also fund the design and remodel of our existing construction center. The reimbursement resolution is the first step in a bond issuance process. So the attached resolution identifies an issuance of up to $72.5 million. We typically put about a 10% contingency in these resolutions. It's not to say that we've sized the bond yet. We really won't be able to until design work is completed. But once approved, the significance of the resolution is that we are going to incur costs between now and the time that the bond is issued when we receive proceeds. The resolution enables us to pay ourselves back with the bond proceeds that are ultimately received. And in fact, you can go 60 days prior to today's date, assuming the board approves this resolution. So are there any questions?
Did you say 60 days prior to today?
Yes. It's actually a look-back period. I'm not aware of any costs that are of any significance that would fall in that 60-day period, but you are allowed to do that.
And between now and when we issue the bond, too,
Right.
any of those costs?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Committee of the Whole. The 2023 appointments of all committees have been distributed to all sitting board members, and a copy can be found in your board books behind tab 14. Unless anyone has any comments, no discussion is necessary, and we will move on to public comment. All right. Are there any members of the public in attendance today who would like to address the board? Seeing none, do any board members have any further comments? Yes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to just say I am so happy to be here for our January meeting and start another 6-year term working with my great colleagues and such a great management team. So I'm just excited to be here again.
Thank you. We certainly benefit from your experience.
I would like to thank the hardworking people of this district from the top all the way out in the field, everybody that had to work over Christmas, New Year's because of the unusually cold temperatures and the unusual number of broken water lines, water mains. I understand a lot of vacations were canceled, and I've been told that vacation requests can still be honored if you were canceled. Okay, well, thank you to all. That was tremendous work, and I'm very proud to be on this board working with you folks.
You know, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind addressing that now since you brought it up, Director Kavanaugh, and thank you for that. I'm going to take my glasses and my laptop, so bear with me for a second here. So as mentioned, it's been a long winter already, and I'm not sure how many weeks into it are we? Just a couple? Okay. Seems like more. So we did put out a note to our employees and their families, although we're trying to figure out a better way to communicate with our employees' families, because when these types of events occur, and in this case it was an extremely cold winter snap that caused a lot of disruption to our community and our customers, and also disruption to our employees. But I don't ever want to minimize it, but I would say they're used to it because that's what they do. But it also causes disruption to their families, especially through the holidays. So we did try to put together a few things that we did send to you, and I would like to highlight that. Not to ever leave anyone out, and that's always the hazard of doing this, but I'm always in favor of trying your best to do it and trying to let especially our employees and their families know that we appreciate what they do. We never take it for granted, and we never know just how difficult it is. I would say we are first responders, and what went on through this cold snap is evidence of that. So first, the emergency work was, I'm going to set this up here so I can see a little better, was vast. It was tremendous. There were 1,500 calls into the emergency line over 1 week from December 21st to December 27th. 17 water main breaks. And you know, that's quite a few more than we normally have in a week, but when you consider the Arctic cold temperatures, how wet and muddy it is, it's icy, it's often dark, it's just miserable. The work that's done to repair those mains, which we wish they wouldn't break, and your support to get us in a position where there's fewer, and we're making great progress in that regard, but the work that's done to fix those emergencies and restore service to our customers it's just stellar. And really, from the bottom of our hearts, we can't thank our crews, and it's not just our construction crews, although they're in the muck and the mud and the water and the ice. It's everyone involved in that, from the initial call to dispatch to water D, gas D, you name it. I don't even want to go down that list because it's pretty much almost every part of the company that's out in the field, and a lot of back office employees. It's physically demanding work, and back to what I said about Mr. Hunter, who's leaving us, safety is top of mind, and it's just incredible, and I don't ever want to jinx us, but that we could go through this and not have any safety incidents for any of our employees. Hats off to everyone for that. Part of the emergency work is getting timely utility locates for to protect our crews and the public and facilities. You don't just hack into the ground ever. And you have to take the time to do that right, and we always do, and that's appreciated. We have a lot of locates that have to happen from construction. We have electricians from central maintenance that are called out over these types of weekends. And sometimes emergencies are just not related to the district. I had some discussion with Director Kavanaugh over that weekend because one of the restaurants that he frequents was out of service because of a interior private line water break in that area. That's one example of many, many private water services that have issues during these times. And it's hard to imagine what it's like as an M.U.D. employee when you respond to these sort of things that aren't our facilities. It's very disappointing to our customers. It's disappointing to us. But we always do whatever we can to minimize that disruption. And often we go above and beyond, and we do help our customers out in ways that others wouldn't.
I just want to add, it isn't necessarily the lost revenue. It's the people that had reservations for their Christmas Eve dinner. 168 reservations were canceled with no notice, nowhere to go, because if there was another place open, they're full. So imagine you've got your family dinner planned and you find out it's off. Can't go to the grocery store, they're closed. This was Christmas Eve. That was the concern here, was our ratepayers and their families and the impact this has on them, not on the business. Lost revenue can be insured, but the people that were disrupted by this, that's the real key here.
Agree. And we do go above and beyond, and there are a lot of stories that I'll never even hear because there are so many of them where we reach on to the other side, whether we have to stop the water to minimize the disruption and the damage, but we often go above and beyond to help and make sure that those are taken care of. So thanks to everyone for that.
So Mark,
yes, sir.
How was that resolved? We couldn't do it. Did they hire a contractor?
Well, they had a plumber ready and waiting, and I don't think they got to it the night before when we spoke, but first thing in the morning, they were there. And
it wasn't fixed. It was went all the way through Christmas.
I thought it did. Yeah.
And Monday, it was mostly repaired. So, but they lost out on the customers there at Christmas Eve, 168 people with their family reservations.
So they did everything they could, but it was a private water. But the point that I'm making is it's disappointing for us. There's not much more we can do, although we often do more than we have to. It's still very disappointing for us, and this is a company with a big heart. So, and there were many homes that had the same condition. I heard of at least one retirement center that had a broken pipe and water was running down 3 stories, and and then we have to shut off the water to help them out if they can't get it shut off. So our employees are always, I wouldn't call that in harm's way, but they're, it's disappointing, and they always are very friendly and cordial, and we do everything we can. So this was one of those types of cold snaps.
I did want to add that the district did respond in an emergency basis for a shut-off, because at that point, it doesn't matter who it belongs to. We've got an emergency here.
Absolutely.
And temperatures were below 0. You don't want that water running down streets and creating havoc, so they did respond in an emergency capacity, and that's much appreciated.
So on the gas side, our energy acquisitions and gas production teams were ready. We had adequate gas supply during that cold snap, which we never take for granted, and we think back to the polar vortex in February of 2021. We ran our peak shaving plants on December 22nd and the 23rd, and another first under my tenure, we hit another record of gas send out. So we met the challenge, and fortunately our customers get to take that for granted. I always think that's a compliment, because we're not noticed. We don't want to always be noticed. So great work for that. Transportation is always involved, assisting to make sure our crews have the equipment they need and the vehicles are operating in these cold temperatures, and they're starting and they're being fixed and they have the fuel they need. We never want to take that for granted. And again, I don't want to leave anyone out. And I know Tom Todd and Terry's not here. Terry's here. You'll help me out. I don't want to leave anybody out here. This was a stellar performance as usual. So if you hear of anyone thinking I left them out, let me know, and next month I'll mention it. So I'm doing my best. So we don't want to take that for granted. And then you've heard of the Missouri River Ice Jam. I think I know more. I think I know more about the Missouri River than I ever really wanted to now. Another first, an unprecedented ice jam on the Missouri River that caused us to go into a little bit of a concerning emergency mode with the Florence water treatment plant. As you know, our treatment plant takes water in from the Missouri River, which we treat and get ready for our customers to use as they see fit. And it's very important that that water flows into that plant. This ice jam caused a situation, I think it started on Christmas Eve, but it might have been the evening before, where there was concern that the ice jam was so big, so deep, and so vast that you might not get water for the plant. One point that might have been lost in all that, and maybe not for us in this room, but we're making a record for the public here whenever we speak, is that we never risked water to our community with the 3 water plants. We were never in jeopardy of that. We had all the other 2 at the ready and ready to raise output if needed. But the concern here is you would never want an outdoor water treatment plant like we have to go dry and freeze up. It wouldn't go dry, it'd be full of water and it would freeze. We wouldn't get that thawed out till spring. So that was the risk there. We feel like we're in much better shape right now, and it got better through the weekend and through the New Year's holiday, but we learned a little bit. And I can think back, I don't know how many years ago, but there was a project to install vertical turbines in the Missouri River so we could go down deeper and farther and bring water. Were you around for that, you guys, engineers? 93. Thank you, Mike. The whole point of that was if a situation like this came up, right? That's some pretty good planning. So we're rethinking everything we do, and we had construction crews bring water pipes down there in case we needed to bring water into the plant by other means, not just construction. This, again, affected so many areas, and everybody rose to the occasion and put us in a spot where we got through that. But we learned a lot, and those meetings are ongoing. There's one going on right now. They never stop. The only day I think we didn't have a meeting was maybe New Year's morning? Maybe January 2nd, okay. So that was occurring, and I want to make sure I don't skip anything here, because, so on Thursday, I don't know the date, but it was before Christmas, and we had an unexpected gas outage near 90th and Q that you were aware of. Again, how it happened, we're pretty sure we're in good shape now, and we backfed it, and we fixed a problem that came up for complicated reasons that we don't need to go into here. But our groups from systems control, gas operations, gas distribution, engineering, our GIS folks, they all work together to assess that problem, fix it, and in, again, miserable conditions with minimal outage. But that is a serious emergency when that happens, and we respond to that as if it is a serious emergency. And we got through it fine. We're in great shape. It emphasizes how important it is that you've made the investments in this gas system that you have, and we're going to be good for the future. But somebody needs to remind me of the church that rose to the occasion and let us use them as a warming spot. I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, Trinity Methodist. It's in Ralston, right? So you should know. But anyway, they opened their doors for us to use as we see fit, and we ended up using it mostly so our crews can take some breaks and get warm. but it was also open in the event that our customers would need somewhere to go while we worked on finding more permanent. If we have to, we would do hotel reservations or anything like that. It didn't get to that level, but we responded as if it could. So,
Mark, did many customers actually go to the church? You said mostly it's the employees. I understand that, but how many evacuated and went to the church, or did they have to?
I don't think they ended up being. But it was very comforting to know they could, because we were on it.
That's great.
And I would say this is probably a situation where social media sites like Nextdoor really came in handy. Several years back, we weren't able to post into it. Only certain agencies could, but we can now. So we can post messages into any Nextdoor site, and that works really well. Helps people get the word out.
How did it work out, Mark? All of a sudden, you said, we need some place to gather and have for our employees and customers. Did someone call the church, come say, let's contact the church? And
our corporate communications group started, well, they were on the ground walking the neighborhood, for starters, going door to door, as were some of our other folks, knocking on doors. We knew where it was, so yeah, we're out there and going door to door and telling people what, if they're home. You know, a lot of people are home. This neighborhood, more people are home than not. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty, there's nothing too high-tech about that, knocking on doors and making sure that people are okay. And keep in mind, when these things occur, if you do get an outage in a home, we have to get back in and relight and make sure that any pilot lights that went out aren't causing a concern for our customers. So I hope I'm not leaving anything out, but, well, I'm glad you brought that up, though. Corporate communications is, you know, they're a first responder as well. We get out in the neighborhoods 24/7, do anything we have to. I would say that this was also a time where I'm going to mention Mr. Hunter again. When he did come here, he helped us organize and prepare in terms of business continuity management. This is a time where that program just kicked into gear. And then off of that might come emergency response and all the things that really I feel like I can sleep better because of that type of work that's been done. And this, you know, who knew that, you know, right as Shane's moving on to another calling, that we were able to exercise that plan and feel really good about the work that he really spearheaded when he came here. So I didn't mean to take up that much time, but I like having these discussions with our board, especially as our new board member, Mr. Sitzik, comes in. And our first meeting, this was all happening, and you could tell when we spoke that I said, I couldn't be prouder to be involved with this public utility than I am now. So to be reelected to another term and to have a new board member, I just thank you for letting me start the year like this.
well, I like Tim Cavanaugh. I think it was a fantastic job. That coordination and all the work that was done, and not to have any safety incidents. That's truly amazing.
Incredible.
It's something you got to be proud of. And that letter you wrote to employees, I thought was excellent, detailed everything that was done. And I'd like you to seriously consider sending that to the public post. I'd like the public to know what actually was done during that cold snap, because otherwise people just take it for granted. You take your shower and the water's hot and everything, you know. But that was an excellent letter, and it showed all the facets of the company coming together and getting it done. So I'd like you to consider doing that.
I'll consider that. I would say I'm not telling the whole story, and it's pretty hard to tell the whole story. I'm looking back at my friends again. But there are ways we can do that. If it's not that sort of public post, we now can post into our social media and tag the media. But yeah, it's a story we're telling, and it is a compliment that our customers can take that for granted, but there's so much that goes on behind it. So I just want to make sure publicly to thank our employees and their families for this type of work that they do day in and day out all year long, and the sacrifices that they make and that their families make, especially over these holidays.
And I'll be a little redundant, but I want to thank Shane Hunter again, because having gone through all of that and the effort and the work that was done through that whole process without a safety incident is amazing. It's a feather in your hat. You've got to be proud of that. And thank you to Shane and the whole group.
Very proud of it, but we can't do it without the employees' attention out in the field doing what they do. So thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Just really briefly, Madam Chair, before we go to break and before we go to the new director talent show that Mr. Sidz is going to lead in the break.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
The word's out.
It is. Bob, I just want to welcome you to the board. And I also want to invite you to share with the M.U.D family and the public just a little bit about yourself, your family, your background, just because we're going to be getting to know you quite well over the next 6 years. But I just want to allow you that forum to introduce yourself.
Director Bob Sidzik, thank you, Jim, and thank you everyone that I've worked with here at M.U.D, especially 1521 IBEW. They reached out to me and been very helpful, and every person that I've worked with, just learning about this position before I started today, it's been a lot, but everybody has been very passionate and welcoming and helpful, so I appreciate that. And a little bit about myself, excuse me, South Omaha family, 10 siblings, grew up in the St. Stanislaus area. I have a wife, Amber Sidzik, and 5 children, and work for the IBEW myself, Local 22, as a membership development coordinator, and pretty proud and thankful for not only the IBEW and people that have stood up to help me get in this position, but the community that went and voted that day and got me here. Thank you.
Well, Bob, you're coming on board to a great organization and a collegial board. We have disagreements, but we're respectful of one another, and we all look forward to working with you greatly. And Madam Chair, one last thing. I too want to echo congratulations for Shane as he goes on to be the State Fire Marshal. Shane and I have worked together for 16 years, going back to when Shane was a fire captain and I worked in city HR. We worked together many times on many projects, but the most memorable ones were the entry-level firefighter physical testing when Shane was the first station, and the candidates would have to get on a treadmill and with 75 pounds of weight, and Shane's military background really came in handy during that period of time. But it's a great testament to the work that Shane has done for the Omaha Fire Department, for M.U.D, and who Shane is to go on to be the State Fire Marshal. So thank you for that. And I think it's important to remind people as we start the new year, Shane has given the safety briefing at the top of every board meeting since he's been here. And we kind of shuffle through our papers and take that for granted, but Shane always asks the question, who is certified in CPR and IED? It's important. Anybody watching Monday Night Football knows the importance of those skills. A 24-year-old young man, DeMar Hamlin, in a football game was critically injured, and he was resuscitated on the football field because the medical professionals had the skills and the technology to be able to revive him. So just reminders, we go out and start 23. The goal of this board and everybody in this organization should be for each employee to work safely, and our goal is to have you walk back home to your family every night, every evening. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much. Not seeing any more questions, this meeting is concluded. We'll reconvene in 10 minutes for the regular board meeting. I would now like to call the meeting to order. I am Tanya Cook, Vice Chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I'd like to welcome you all to the regular board meeting this morning, January 4th, 2023. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Is here.
Bagley.
Here.
Cook.
Here.
Friend. Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
I'd like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. And now, for those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes for the committee meetings, public hearing, and regular board meeting for December 7th, 2022.
So
Do I have a
moved.
second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
We will now take up the election of the new board chairperson.
I move that we, as a board, appoint Tanya Cook as a chairperson for 2023.
Second.
And I second the nomination.
Oh, you're third now.
Oh, really?
Here, third, second.
Yeah. Any discussion?
I just want to say, we appreciate you filling in for Jack when you did during the year. You've done an excellent job, and we look forward to working with you this year.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
All right. I guess I'm the new chairperson, and I'm now going to preside, but I want to thank everybody. It's true, new Director Sidzik, that we can disagree sometimes pretty vehemently and sincerely, but we're all very collegial. I can't say this about every legislative body I've been a part of, but I trust everyone on this board and in this room and who works for the district. So I feel honored. This is one of those moments, you guys, right after the holidays too, where I wish my parents were on the planet, but they're in heaven. Their earthly remains are not far from here either, Forest Lawn. So I just want to offer that blessing for supporting me and I think preparing me to be able to work and serve in this capacity. So thank you very much. Now we take up the election of the board vice chairperson. Do we have a motion? Okay,
I nominate Jim Bagley for vice chair of the district board of directors for 2023.
I'll second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Thank you all very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Capital expenditures. Director Kavanaugh.
I move we approve the proposed capital expenditures as presented in the committee meetings by Senior Vice President and CIO Gina Langle, as outlined in her letter to the committee dated December 29th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Howard. Yes. Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Item 7, I move we approve the proposed acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates as presented in the committee meetings by Director of Plant Engineering Stephanie Henn and outlined in her committee letter to the committee dated December 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Item 8, amendment number 1 for Platte West Lime Grit Removal System upgrades. I move we approve amendment number 1 for the Platte West Lime Grit Removal System upgrades as presented in the committee meetings by Director of Plant Engineering Stephanie Henn and was outlined in her letter to the committee dated December 14th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Item 9, bids on materials and contracts. I move we approve the bids on materials and contracts as presented in the committee meetings by Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services and is outlined in the letter dated December 23rd, 2022 from Director of Purchasing Sherry Meisinger. But I believe John Zellers is the one that presented it.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Item 10, main extensions. I move we approve the main extensions as presented in the committee meetings by Vice President of Engineering Massania and as outlined in his letter to the committee dated December 29th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
All right, wage and/or salary increases and ratifications. Director Begley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications as discussed in committee and outlined in Bonnie Savine's memo dated December 21st, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Selection of, yeah.
I'm
there
sorry,
you go.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
That's okay, you were already rolling with it.
I move that we approve of the promotion of Vice President for Construction, Jeff Skovanik, as presented in committee this morning and outlined in Bonnie Savine's memo dated December 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Congratulations, Vice President Skovanik.
Yes, thank you. All right, Gas Department Bond Reimbursement Resolution. Director McGowan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to adopt and approve the Gas Department Bond Resolution as discussed in committee and outlined in the memo from Joe Schaffer dated December 27th.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Okay. Appointment of committees. The appointment of committee memberships was already addressed earlier in the committee meetings. No vote is necessary, so we'll move to the next agenda item. Okay. Do any board members have any matters of district business to discuss?
I have one item I'd
Yes,
like to
sir.
bring up. Mr. President, I'd like to ask for a brief update on the status of hiring our new financial officer to replace Joe Shafford, where we stand on that. Just a brief update.
I can give the update unless Mark Mendenhall would like to, or Bonnie, either one.
Mark's got his laptop
Don't everybody
open.
stand at once?
We'll take turns here.
Good morning, Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel with the assistance of a lot of folks here. I'll mention Bonnie Savine, Joe Schaffert, Mark Myers is Vice President of Accounting. We have identified candidates that we selected for interviews. Interviews have begun. We actually interviewed a couple folks last week. We've got a few more to go. We anticipate multiple rounds of interviews. There will be a team, including those folks, including Mr. Doyle, that will then evaluate, and I guess maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, Mark can jump in, bring a recommendation with Mr. Doyle to the Personnel Committee, and then go from there. I think Mr. Schaffert's winding up his career here, unfortunately for us, but good for him, at the end of March. Ideally, we can bring someone in by the March board meeting and have a transition period, but yet to be determined there. So had good discussions, though, so far, and looking forward to a few more.
Good. When is Mr. Schaffert's last day?
March 31st.
March 31st, he says.
But we're working on that.
All right.
Joe?
Joe.
Did you say March 31st?
No.
What year?
That's what, yeah.
I just thought of a question now that Mark has walked back to his chair with his laptop. Can you describe the process by which you identified candidates? Were there, how did you cast the net broadly and widely and inclusively, I guess is my question.
Yeah, thank you. And Bonnie, I'll invite you up just in the event I don't say something correctly. So the process is very similar to other efforts with which we will have a posting that is, I think, cast as widely as we can cast a posting. So we'll utilize print media, we'll utilize internet, so web and various sites, apps will pick that up. So I think the term is they scrape that site, and so the posting would be available on like LinkedIn or Career Builder, I don't know, Monster, things like that. Oh, yeah, you can use that. And then, so we did go nationally. We received candidates from Texas, from outside of Nebraska, and then the team, HR team, myself, Mr. Schaffert, Mr. Doyle, I think that group here, evaluated all of the applicants. The posting was open for, I think initially for a couple weeks. We extended it, and so we had the posting open for about 30 days. And then at that time, we decided let's select a number for this first round of interviews. So I don't know, did I miss anything that you wanted to add, Bonnie?
No, we also used some of our industry partners, so AWWA, APGA, and AGA have job posting boards, and locally we do always try to put publications in not only the Omaha World Herald, but also the Omaha Star and the El Perico.
Bonnie, just a rough count. How many applicants did we get, or people express interest?
We had 12 applicants, and we identified 6 that met not only the job qualifications, but appeared to have experience that was relevant to the district or could basically be, applied to what we do here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you check the transfer portal to see what's out there?
Yeah, essentially that's what we're doing here, yes.
I want to apologize to Gina Langle. I misidentified her as CIO, and I know you're COO, so sorry about that.
I've done that before. I have a couple comments, if you don't mind. Mark Doyle, President. First of all, congratulations, Director Cook and Director Begley, for being the leadership for 2023. And I've been visiting with your former colleague and my former colleague, Jack Frost, who is doing much better. Wanted to express his appreciation of all the help you've given him this year. Great teamwork, and we'll miss him not being around here, but I'm going to continue to call him and visit him. He happens to be at a place living where I'm very familiar with. So, and he's doing well, and he seems pretty happy, like he always is.
You said he moved to Exarban
Yes.
Retirement Center?
Yeah. Great place.
You said he's driving too?
Well, that's what I heard.
Oh, boy. Anyway, let's not.
So, congratulations. We look forward to another year. I would echo all the comments about a collegial board. It's really impressive. Second item is the annual Heat the Streets that'll be occurring March 4th this year. Am I right about the date? And this is the event that we always team up with OPPD and raise money for a great cause, which would be our customers and their ability to do the things they need to do, like keep their homes warm. And teaming up with OPPD this year, we have a special duo, directors Howard and Howard, that are chair and co-chairs.
Well known on stage and Hollywood.
Yeah. So we have,
Screen.
yeah, we have a couple of duos that are M.U.D. OPPD, but this year it's directors Howard and Howard that'll be co-chairing the event. So this is my request to ask everyone to work very hard to have M.U.D. participate in the largest manner we ever have. We want it. Maybe we should get a little competition going with you and Sarah to. They have more humans. They have more employees, but we can kind of extrapolate that. So.
Oh, Family Feud time. I want to appreciate, to say thank you to everyone who signed up already, and to urge everyone who hasn't yet signed up to get your bid in early. It's a really fun event, and it's so worthwhile. My only criticism is I have noticed in the years that Jim Bagley and his wife have been the sponsors, it's been much warmer than when the Howards have taken this over. And, this is to remind everyone, March 4th may be cold. I suppose we do it then to give more meaning to our campaign. But all of the funds that are raised go directly to assist people to keep warm in their houses and to survive the winter. It's so worthwhile, and it so speaks of the mission of M.U.D. and how they go above and beyond to help the people in this community, the ratepayers, the people that we serve. I'm grateful to be a co-chair. I know Sarah feels the same way. And please, when you see us there at the event on the 4th, come up and say hi. I want to meet you. I want to see you. Is there anything else that my backup team that spoke to me earlier, do you want to address this at all, say anything?
I think you got it.
Oh, they're so shy.
No.
Okay, well, thank you. And I urge you, like I said, sign up early and know your money is going to a good cause, and you'll have a good time. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll begin, actually at Exarban, which is a short run from Howard Street.
All right. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we will call this meeting to an end, and it's that concludes the regular board agenda items. The board will now go into closed session for the purpose of discussing litigation, personnel, and real estate. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
I'd like to ask all attendees other than board members or designated staff members to please leave by the doors at the rear of the boardroom. Do I have a motion to go back to open session?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Do any directors or members of the public have any further comments to share? All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
We are adjourned, 10:30.